All right, guys, coming up, we got a joint preview with our Packers report host, Joey Petersen, second time in 3 weeks. I think you guys will enjoy it, but did want to just get you guys caught up on the latest injury stuff. This is from Wednesday's injury report, so keep an eye on today's report before the game on Saturday. All eyes on both receivers, right? Odunze, who's dealing with that foot injury, Luther Burden with the ankle. Both have not practiced yet this week. I don't expect Rome to be ready. I'm still holding out some hope for Burden, but if he doesn't do anything today, probably not a great chance of playing. Also, keep an eye on DeAndre Swift. He did not have an injury designation during Tuesday's walkthrough practice injury report. And then yesterday he popped up limited with a groin injury. He's kind of dealt with that off and on throughout the season. I was told that it's probably not a big deal that he was seen walking around in the locker room after practice, but just something to monitor when today's injury report comes out. He's obviously been fantastic for the Bears running game this year. For the Packers, Jaden Reed had a personal deal yesterday. He should be fine. Josh Jacobs, I think that's one to keep a close eye on. He's been banged up for weeks now. He sounds like he wants to push through and play, but we shall see. Zach Tom, Evan Williams, I'm not super confident that they are going to play. Then Josh Wiley's in the concussion protocol. And then Christian Watson, the big one, he returned to practice on Wednesday in a limited capacity. Sounds like he's trending up, and I expect the rest of these guys to be able to play as well. And obviously Lucas Van Ness, his role increases with Micah Parsons being out for the year. So keep an eye on today's injury report. We'll, of course, have it covered when we go live this afternoon, 4 o'clock Central Time on Chicago Bears Now. So subscribe and join us for that. And also, if you want the Bears to beat the Packers and get revenge, hit that like button. We'll see you guys this afternoon. All right, Bears, Packers, Part 2. We are back at it for NFL Week 16. I'm Harrison Graham, Chicago Bears Now. That is Joey Petersen of the Packers Report. We're right where we were 2 weeks ago. The Packers took a half-game lead, and then they lost to Denver. The Bears beat the Browns, and once again, the winner of this game will be in first place in the NFC North with 2 weeks to go, Joey. So stakes as high as ever between these two ball clubs.
Yeah, it felt like this the last time these two teams faced off. That the winner of that game was in the driver's seat. Obviously, you drop one to Denver, that takes you back a little bit. But, I mean, we got 3 weeks left this season. The winner of this game is squarely in the driver's seat to take over that number 2 seed and win this division that's been a dogfight all season long.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens. We'll get into the nuts and bolts of this one as we go, but you take a look at the playoff picture, to your point, not only does the winner of this game take control of the NFC North, especially the Bears, by the way. They'd be a game and a half up with 2 weeks to go. Packers would be a half game up, but you're also the 2 seed, and the 1 seed would still be in play for the winner of this game if the winner of this game were to win its final 2 games, because obviously the Rams and Seahawks play each other. So one of those teams will suffer a 4th loss. If the winner of that game, Joey, were to suffer another loss, then the Bears or Packers could conceivably slide up into that 1 seed if they are able to win out. So these are huge stakes on Saturday night, and a big difference this time around, Joey, is Micah Parsons is no longer in the picture. He had the non-contact torn ACL against Denver, a devastating injury for the Packers. And now, Joey, you know, this changes a lot. I mean, this is a guy who keeps play callers up at night throughout the week. I guarantee you Ben Johnson was losing sleep a couple of weeks ago trying to game plan for him. I think we saw with the amount of bootlegs and stuff, getting Caleb out of the pocket, not just by scrambling, but by design at times, was with number 1 in mind. Well, with them out of the mix, I think it gives Ben Johnson more options and flexibility with the full playbook and some more traditional drop back passing. So it's going to be interesting to see how not only the Bears change their plan of attack, especially throwing the football, but also Jeff Hafley in terms of how he adjusts without Micah Parsons.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting too, because like Jeff Hafley is not a guy who usually sends a ton of pressure. He does not love to blitz. Green Bay Packers are pretty consistently with him at the helm, at least over the last 2 seasons, have been in like around the bottom 10 in the league when it comes to blitzing the quarterback. But you're going to have to think that's going to change over the next little bit, right? Like with a guy like Micah Parsons, you can pretty much just say, okay, he's going to be able to get to the passer on his own. you don't have to really generate much pressure or, scheme him up to get there. You can just send 4. You're going to get some pressures on the QB. That's not the case anymore. And so I do wonder if there's a little bit of an uptick in a blitz, and then it's going to be on, Caleb Williams. How does he handle that pressure?
Yeah, and I think on the flip side, we saw Dennis Allen, who's had to manufacture pressure all year because the Bears don't have a Micah Parsons. He tried to blitz Jordan Love a lot, and it didn't work out. Jordan Love went 9 for 12, 3 touchdowns against the blitz. So I think that's going to be something. If you're DA, do you scale that back? If I'm Dennis Allen, I'm probably going with the bend, don't break approach, force Jordan Love to do more dinking and dunking and eliminate those explosives. Now, part of the calculus to that, of course, is Christian Watson's availability. You guys keep an eye on the injury reports. We are filming this on Wednesday, so things can change over the next couple of days. So depending when you're watching this, may have a clearer picture. But, yeah, it's, when these division games are so fascinating every year, Joey, because – you play, then you play again. You're always like, okay, what do you do differently this time around? But especially in this case, because they're so close together and a guy like Micah's out,
yeah.
it just it really, this game could look totally different. Not even necessarily the outcome, but just how the game flow is. Because, like I said earlier, sure, Micah Parsons didn't have a sack in that first matchup. It felt like he impacted every other snap.
Yes.
I mean, it was how many balls did Caleb have to throw into the stands because he's just blowing up a play. So it's just going to be a fascinating watch. And some of these other guys who are banged up, Christian Watson, Evan Williams, Zach Tom for the Bears,
yep.
Rome Odunze, Luther Burden at receiver as well. If they're both out, the Bears are thin at the receiver position. So it's kind of that time of year. It's like you play with who you got left. So it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah. And with Christian Watson, I mean, like you said, with Micah, think of the 2 most impactful players from that game in Week 14 on the offensive side and the defensive side of the ball. You'd say Micah Parsons, and you'd probably say Christian Watson. I mean, the dude caught 2 touchdown passes, took a slant to the house. And so I feel like of these guys on this list, he's probably – I would say Josh Jacobs is most likely, but then I'd put Christian Watson right back up there. I mean, at the recording of this video, it's Wednesday. He was back at practice
today, practicing,
even though he was in the hospital on Sunday. So I would say he's good to go. However, Zach Tom, Evan Williams, I don't necessarily feel as good as those 2 guys. And missing Williams when no Parsons, everybody on the defense, not just the defensive line, they've got to step up. If you miss a guy like Evan Williams, that's going to be a big deficit.
Well, and I think, too, a big storyline coming into this year for Green Bay was, can the secondary hold up? Well, I think Mike has been so good that it's probably had that secondary look a little better than it is, especially at corner. I do think the safeties are really good, but if Williams is out, now all of a sudden – Keyshawn Nixon's having to cover for an extra second. Those other corners are having to cover for longer. I wonder if Ben Johnson's going to take some shots early and just test that secondary. And because I think he probably is feeling pretty good about this offensive line holding up against the Packers front 4 at this point. We were talking about it off air. Rashawn Gary doesn't have a sack or TFL since week 7. So they desperately need him to step up in a major way. Devontae Wyatt he's out for the year as well. Yep. So it just the complexion of this matchup has really changed in less than 2 weeks when they last played. So, I think both these coaching staffs are excellent. So I'm fascinated to watch just the chess match of what Hafley does. Is he just going to start blitzing the house? Is he going to take a dink or dunk style? Because I think that's what Dennis Allen should do. I'd just stop blitzing against this team if I was Chicago. And they didn't really blitz Shedeur Sanders on Sunday. I know it's a completely different opponent, but the Bears have been pretty adamant with their approach of, hey, every game's different, week-to-week approach. We'll adjust accordingly. But I really do think, with Micah out, it might force Hafley's hands, and how Jordan Love carved up the Bears last time, DA may just sit back, drop 7 into coverage, and say, hey, we're going to clamp down in the red zone and try to force field goals.
Yeah, and I don't think that would be a bad strategy at all. If I'm Ben Johnson, I'm taking shots. I'm taking shots early, like you mentioned. We came into this year, and I remember the NFL draft came and went, and they didn't draft a cornerback to the 7th round. And that cornerback's not on this team right now. And I was so confused, so frustrated why they didn't go there early. I personally thought that should have been a top 3 pick. Regardless, then we go into this year, And through the first 15, 14 weeks of the season, cornerbacks have been surprising everybody, myself included. But like you said, a lot of that is because of Micah Parsons, because of his ability to generate pressure. They don't have to cover as long. Now we're going to be able to see and going to get to see, hey, are these cornerbacks legitimate, or has it just been because of this defensive line?
Well, and they might get lucky because DJ Moore might be the only good, healthy receiver.
That's fair.
So I don't expect Rome Odunze to play in this game. I think Luther Burden's got a shot, but he has not practiced as of Wednesday. Thursday will be critical for him. Even if Odunze were to play, which I don't think he will, he's got a stress fracture in his foot, and I think the tape has shown that he's been impacted by that injury when he has been playing through it. So, this really is kind of a game of, neither team has a lot of key guys. I mean, this is really where, this is why Ben Johnson makes $13 million. This is why you bring in Dennis Allen. This is why Jeff Hafley's considered a head coaching candidate. This is why Matt LaFleur has, been on top of this division for a long time. These guys are really smart coaches, and, this is a game where you earn your paycheck because, you have a lot of key guys out, short week, especially for the Packers on the road, coming off a physical game against Denver. The Bears are motivated. I mean, you can see it with in the victory locker room video deal, one of the guys who got the game ball was like, hey, cool, I still have a bad taste in my mouth from last week. They were on to Green Bay as soon as that Browns game ended because they know what the stakes are, and so do the Packers. The winner of this game is in great position to play at home, potentially through the first two rounds of the playoffs. So I'll just say this too, Joey, from just this rivalry game, these two teams being good and hopefully being good at the same time for a while is so good for the league. It's so good for the division. I expect Soldier Field. I mean, is this the biggest game in Chicago? And for sure since 2018, maybe since the early 2010. So Saturday night prime time standalone game. I expect this atmosphere to be off the charts on Saturday night.
I hope it's chippy. I hope people are getting in fights. That's what this is all about. It's going to be cold. It's going to be so exciting. I cannot wait to watch this one. Last game did not disappoint. I'm sure this game's not going to disappoint either. I just don't see, I get it, no Micah Parsons, but still, this Green Bay Packers team's really talented. Jordan Love is playing great football. I don't see this game being a blowout either way. I truly do believe it's going to come down to, as Gage and I talk about a lot on the channel, who can make that play late, and whoever does is going to be able to win this football game.
We'll let you guys chime in, then we'll have a little bit more before we get out of here. Type CHI for the Bears, GB for the Packers. First place on the line in the NFC North. By the way, both fan bases here. Big Steelers fans this week to knock
them out of here.
Detroit out. So hopefully that ends up happening. What are some other things you're looking at in this matchup for Green Bay, maybe differently this time around? I saw Matthew Golden got more involved, especially with again, I'm with you. I think Watson plays, but does his role increase this week in this matchup? I'll be curious to see if they start to get him going a little bit.
I would love to get him going. Man, you see the talent, and one thing I've noticed about Matthew Golden, he catches everything that's thrown to him. He just hasn't had a ton of targets this year. Now, he did miss some time with injury, but you could see the connection that him and Jordan Love have, and I hope it grows, and I hope he continues to go to him this game. I love him. I love the skill set that he brings. He's so fast. He's got such sure hands. I think one thing I think we need to talk about, and we can maybe throw this back a couple of weeks ago, and I know we talked about this off air after the game happened. Caleb Williams, the first 15, 30 minutes of that last game, that last matchup, was a really rough go.
Not good.
However, the last 30, that second half, I feel like is some of the best football I've seen him play in the National
His last 6 quarters have been excellent. He played really good in the second half in Lambeau. The last play aside, threw the ball too late and underthrew it. He was really good against the Browns, who, I get it's the Browns end of the season. That's still a pretty good defense, though. And, he's something, and this is true with Jordan Love. Both these quarterbacks are weatherproof. Their physical characteristics. They can throw the ball in cold weather, which it actually doesn't look too bad. It's going to probably be in the 30s Saturday night. This time of year, it was negative wind chill last week in Chicago, so that's a big difference. But, I like how Caleb's playing right now. I think there's opportunities this week to build off of that without Micah Parsons, kind of what we were talking about earlier. I think also Ben Johnson, given the situation with these receivers, TBD if they'll play, obviously, they already do this a lot, but they might do it even more, A, out of necessity, and B, just because that Packers D-line is thinned out a little bit. 12 and 13 personnel. Like, other than the Rams, they probably run 13 more than anyone, which is 3 tight end sets. Durham Smythe is that third guy, but Cole Kmet's been a warrior all year as a blocker. Colson Loveland pancaked Myles Garrett once last week, and he's been getting more involved in the passing game week in and week out. I think that's going to be a kind of a thing Ben goes to in this game with some heavier personnel. Lean on Swift, lean on Kyle Monangai. Swift did pop up on the injury report Wednesday with the groin, limited, so keep an eye on that. I think he'll be fine, but just something to monitor. But then you set up some play action explosives off of that. I think that's going to be something they try to do, and that's the good thing about this offense, Joey. Even if they're a little thin at receiver, is they have 2 really capable tight ends that can catch the ball. So you could go 13 personnel with DJ Moore as your one receiver, 12 personnel, DJ Moore, Olamide, Zacchaeus, with Colson Loveland and Cole Kmet. Like, that's still a very capable unit in terms of weapons that Caleb Williams can throw the football to. So I think they'll be okay in a one-game scenario if Rome Odunze and Luther Burden are both out. But obviously, big picture, the Bears would like to get both those guys back.
Yeah, and I think that's what's hurt Green Bay so bad is losing Tucker Kraft like they did earlier in the season. I mean, he was Jordan Love's go-to guy. Nobody in the league had more yak. He was leading tight end statistics pretty much up and down the stat sheet. And that's been a really big loss because not only was he a great pass catcher, not only could he do great things with the ball in his hands after it, but, of course, he was a great blocker as well. And so you lose a tight end like that of his caliber. This offense has taken a big hit because of that. Now, I think they've corrected well, but also, like, the tight end game is just kind of non-existent now. It's Musgrave, it's Wiley, and it's
they're just
Patrick.
fine.
Yeah, they're guys. And so I'm curious to see how much they lean on a guy like Josh Jacobs, who's been dealing with some injuries.
He's banged up.
He got an MRI last Monday, ended up playing in that game, tweaked the knee again earlier in that game. And so I feel like he's going to still be out there to play because he's a warrior. He said yesterday it hurts more watching this team play than it does my knee when I'm actually in the game. But Emmanuel Wilson, is he going to be able to, provide some pop, be a thumper every now and then? I'm just really curious to see how Green Bay's going to attack this.
What does this Packers O-line look like if Zach Tom doesn't play? Who plugs it? Do they move things around? Is Jordan Morgan back in the mix? What does that look like?
I think it just depends. I think now that they have a week to prepare, they're probably going to have a better idea. You saw, Jordan Morgan some at tackle last week. I think there's a chance you could see Anthony Belton flex back out to tackle. He's been at right guard the last couple weeks. I think Darian Kennard has been a guy that they've gotten some really, really great play from over, I think, the course of this year that they didn't really expect, having traded not much for him. And I don't think really anybody expected him to be that big of an impact player. I could see them go either way. Kennard came back to practice today from an injury. And so I think the most likely scenario is probably Jordan Morgan and keeping Belton at right guard where he's been really, really great.
All right, so we'll keep an eye on all that. Again, with the injury stuff, keep an eye on those reports, social media. You can follow both of us as well. We'll have you guys covered also on our channels with other videos throughout the week. He's Joey Petersen, Packers Report. I'm Harrison Graham, Chicago Bears now. Bears-Packers Saturday night, 7:30? Central? 7:20 Central. So should be a fun one. Stakes have never been higher in this rivalry. Be sure to subscribe to whichever channel you're watching, and we'll see you guys soon.